sob story won't suffice. And she told us he'd be leaving. We found his body in the evening. Oh, what's the hell? She agonized over 1,000 lights that should have been drowned at sea before we were ever there. No one should have to live like this, and I didn't just to exist. We'd all have been drowned at sea before he would even care. First he tried to cover stories leading to another, but our faces clearly were not buying shit. She relented and went further, explained that he was there to hurt her, and we had to admit she had no choice. She said that there were others, always changing their cover, and all she wants to do is live in peace. But then a sound in the doorway, and she disappeared completely. Oh, what next?
Einen wunderschönen guten Abend und herzlich willkommen zum Stream. Heute einmal, wie im Titel steht, der Stanley Parable. Ich habe das gerade noch nicht ganz fertig vorbereiten können, aber das sollten wir gleich haben. Jupp. Okay, so jetzt. Ich glaube, wenn ich meine Kamera links unten im Eck platziere, soll es passen. Und sonst move man sie halt noch einmal. Ja, Stanley Parable ist mehr oder weniger ein Walking Simulator, soweit ich es weiß. Ich habe es selber noch nie gespielt, ich habe es vor ein paar Jahren mal gesehen. Und ich würde sagen, wir schauen einfach, was uns da erwartet. Uhrzeit, 7 Uhr. Ich hasse ja PM, ich weiß nicht, warum man da kein 24-Stunden-Format verwenden kann. Vielleicht hätte ich in die andere Richtung drucken sollen. So, 7:24, close enough. Hang on, hang on. Before we get started, can I just say something? Ich denke, kann die wohl nicht dran hindern. Thank you for actually setting the clock both times you've booted up the game. Ja, ich habe es einmal kurz ins Hauptmenü gestartet, wo ich es fertig runtergeladen habe, um zu schauen, ob es wohl problemlos überhaupt startet. A lot of people don't take that step seriously. They just leave the clock set at 12 and call it a day. Okay. But you're actually taking the time to set the clock, and I appreciate that. Bitte gerne. That's how I know that you care about this experience. You are paying attention. I don't even have any way of knowing if the time you're setting are correct. Tell you what, I'll make you a deal. Since you've been so cooperative, next time you boot up the game and see the screen, just set the clock to your favorite time. Go ahead, pick whichever time you want, even if it's not the correct time. You've earned it. Alright, I'll let you get back to the video game now. Das war nett, wobei ich jetzt nicht wüsste, was mein favorite time ist. So, noch mal kurz in die Settings reinschauen. Das ist aber eh noch alles eingestellt, von dem her würde ich sagen, let's begin the game.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Eine wichtige
And then one
Aufgabe.
day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Ah ja, we have control now. Bürotür ist schon offen. ich meine, dieser Kosten ist halt auch unpraktisch da platziert. Aber gut, wir verlassen also das Büro.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Aber die Computer haben sie zumindest zum Teil eingeschalten. Who farted? Auf der Tasten. Ich werde aber gerade mal das FOV, glaube ich, ein bisschen runterschrauben. Das wirkt ein bisschen gezogen. Ja, ich glaube, das ist besser. How to use help. Surname access. The correct time is internal clock error, please reset. Okay, der hat definitiv ein Problem, was sich die IT anschauen sollte. Knowing your city. Before you can possibly know where to begin your new street vending operation, you first have to get to know your city. I'll use Georgetown as an example in this book. But in order to really get the knowledge, it's best to go explore. Die Uhr zeigt nicht das an, was ich im Game eingestellt habe. I hate Mondays. Ja, zum Glück ist heute Dienstag.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okay. Es ist dann wohl der Meetingraum.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Okay, zuerst mal schauen, was wir da alles haben. Meeting Room. Floor 4XX. Group. Kabal durchgestrichen und nur noch Planning. RIP Friends. Okay. Do not alter without consulting Whiteboard Manager. Oh Gott. Meeting Schedule. Weekly Target Admin. Marketing Mondays. Schwer zu lesen. Group 40X. Group 45X. This box is too small. Termination Tuesdays. Nice. Termination Tuesdays klingt super. Office Efficiency. Legal. Group 41X. Group 46X. Wednesday IT Department. We are broke Wednesday. Financial Panic Meeting. Boss Inspection. Group 42X. Group 47X. 8 Bird. Thursday. Mergers. Ideas and Development. Group 43X. Group 4X. Pre-review of Weekend Review. On Friday. Weekly Review. Pranking Floors Meeting. What to do about 432. Don't tell 432 about my meeting. Group 44X, Group 49X, Office Party am Freitag, spät nachmittags vermutlich. Ah genau, unten haben wir die Zeiten. Um 4 Uhr Nachmittag gibt es Office Party am Freitag. Aber wenn sie da was von We are broke und so schreiben, vielleicht hat die Firma einfach zugesperrt. Targets. Push for funding for R&D of new coffee machine. Not efficient irgendwas. Standard irgendwas. Get Chris out of the broom closet. Okay. Hire someone to synergize papers. Papers are to synergize. Fire paper guy. Hire somebody to fire the paper synergizing guy. What the hell? Who moved my desk? Please keep the targets on a topic of unkenntlich gemacht. The future was yesterday. Tomorrow is now. Tomorrow. Complete today's unfinished agenda items. Write next day's agenda. Reflect. Was haben wir da? This page contains no information. Oh Gott. Tips for not getting fired. Talk less, do unbelievably amazing work all the time every day with no expectation of promotion or recognition. Don't get fired. How to solve a dispute with a coworker. Resent co-workers for not supporting you more. Let it boil up inside you. Take it out passive-aggressively on other workers. Using slides to assure employees that everything is okay. Make sure a slide has a slick blue graphic in the header and throw some bevel on all the text. This will ensure a calm and productive work environment. Everyone is unique. You most of all. Number of slides on this slide. Charts and slides. Rate that which chart on the same slide depict the same information. What? Rate of increase in graphs per slide. Please no more chance, please I'm begging, stop. The boss appreciation minute. On your boss appreciation minute worksheet, circle the top 20 things you love most about your boss. Fill out in triplicate and return to your boss appreciation specialist. Solving interpersonal conflict. If you ever find yourself in a conflict with another diligent employee like yourself, but more inclined toward conflict unless you are the kind of person who... Zu viel Text. What are your dreams for the future? Alles Mögliche scheinbar. Und da sind wir wieder bei Tips for not getting fired. Be quarterly post review. We need reviews. For 2 plus 4 5 want to get rid of the dev sport portion in the primary review schedule. But I think that's a stupid idea. More water cooler heaters. Chart need to be more hip to appeal to teenage demographics. Find teenagers to put in teenage demographic. Big net? Some sort of child trap? Teenagers. A lot of percent und die Teenagers sind nur ein kleiner Part davon. Size of demographic. Space between the teenagers. Was? Oh Gott. Throw something in the ideas bin. No more pin, trash cans, renaming of the idea, firing of me, ideas bin. Okay. What do people want? Things. Yeah. Money. More money. Things but with money to buy more things. Graphs. Graphs about things plus money. We have our new product. Graphs about things and money. Und der Violet James ist gefeuert worden. The stock market is somewhere here. Colored in segment, stripes, requires more secondary research. What is hot? Target demographic teenagers. Profits. Okay, ich weiß immer noch nicht, was sie anbieten. Wobei doch Charts. Sie bieten Charts an. To do. Synergize core value expenditures and shift global market parade. Monetize free to play. Monetize free to play. Yeah. Okay. Wir sollen den Chef suchen. Broom Closet. Da ist doch gestanden, dass wer drin ist.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Also ist doch niemand mehr im Broom Closet, dann haben sie ihn wohl rausgekriegt.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow. Just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet.
Standing.
He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way.
Da
As
ist
it
was.
is,
Die
he's
Tür.
literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Ah, ich kann mit der Tür interacten.
Are you really still in the broom closet?
Yep.
Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused. You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
Von wegen kein Choice. Es ist die Choice, im Broom Closet zu bleiben.
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid.
What?
He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
True.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. They have fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Ich kann versichern, dass ich noch nicht gestorben bin. Es ist alles okay. Aber ich glaube, er hat sich jetzt beruhigt. Und es scheint tatsächlich keine geheimen Türen oder sonstiges da herin zu geben.
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you. You too? Unbelievable. I'm at the mercy of an entire species of invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story again. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Okay, geh mal auf. Man muss ja nicht zu rebellisch sein, gleich beim ersten Mal. Der Executive Bathroom. To be rich, is it a crime? To commit crimes, isn't it rich? What a life it would be to have to pick just one. Ich glaube, man kann rich sein, ohne kriminell zu sein. Extreme bathrooms. Bath guy testifies in the trial of the century. Tired of getting ash on your porcelain? Faucets, pipes, offshoots? Also das Einzige, was daran jetzt krass executive ist, ist, dass es unglaublich platzverschwenderisch groß ist, dafür, dass dann nur ein Klo und ein Waschbecken darin ist. Sekretärin ist auch nicht da. The Beige Pages. Business Time. Okay. Das ist dann wohl das Büro vom Chef. Definitiv überhaupt nicht übertrieben groß und hoch.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Ich hab's zur Sicherheit einmal aufgeschrieben, weiß nicht, wie oft er es wiederholt. Was haben wir da oben? Carte Blanche at Mont Blanc.
2845.
Er wiederholt es öfter. I'm the most expensive boss. Search Lilies by Claude Money. What?
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override
Oh.
kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Okay. Also ich hätte mal den Code wohl nicht wirklich aufschreiben müssen. Sie sorgen dafür, dass man nicht stecken bleibt. What the hell? Es schaut nicht mal wirklich aus wie ein Büro.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
What the hell? Okay.
Whoops, Nope. Never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out. Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
Okay, es wird wohl doch der Lift werden.
Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this? Surely this time Stanley will walk forward into the spooky corridor, won't he?
Will he? I guess. Könnte der
Stanley
Heizungskeller
walked
sein?
straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
What? If light is on, call X914 immediately. Und womit? Ah, escape. Mind Control Facility. Oder Escape in roten Lettern. Ach, gehen wir mal in die Mind Control Facility. Wird ein sein, wenn nichts ist. Okay, da stehen ein Haufen Nummern. Words. General questions about bucket filling. Recommendations from the Oversight Committee. A short history of the relations between Poland and Austria-Hungary. Und dann ist ein Haufen rot durchgestrichen. The Pale Bridge. Dear Diary. Attending to my husband has been easier than I was afraid it would be. Yes, there's days when it requires more strength than usual to keep going. I'm still getting increasingly more sick. Nothing will change that, but it's not so bad really. All I have to do is dote on him and try to anticipate his desires, and he's happy with me. No abuse or anything. Sure, it's not as if I like him. He's an ugly 40-year-old man who cares only about politics and never tells me anything. Love, well, that's certainly no concern. I don't know where I ever got the impression that was something that could happen in a marriage. I thought it was something from the past, but, well, I was young before I got put in stasis. It must have been a mistake of childhood. But so long as I do as I'm told, I'm not mistreated, like I was by my sister, and sleeping with him feels good. I really hope I don't get pregnant soon. I don't want that to stop. Doing that is really the only thing that makes me actually happy these days. Well, that and Jova's talks with me. She's nice. She keeps me company when I stay up, wait for his returns. She fetches servants to take me to bed on.
The Lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Strength? Weiß ich nicht. Keine andere Möglichkeit? Schon eher. Kann man eigentlich springen? Ich glaube nicht, oder? Controls. Forward, back, left, right, jump. Doch. Space eigentlich. Aber er jumpt nicht. Interact E. Jo. Es gibt einen Jump-Button. You can jump. Get your first achievement. Oh Gott. Ah, Steam Achievement kriegt. Okay. Warum kann ich Jump belegen, wenn ich nicht springen kann? Okay, more buttons. Employee Observation Protocol. Mehr Numbers. Observation Protocol. Observation Protocol. Ein Button.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Okay, nicht alle funktionieren, aber der Großteil schon. Vereinzelt sind wir halt gefeuert worden.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Scheinbar wäre das. Auf jeden Fall ist es momentan offline. Die haben alle einen leicht anderen Piep, oder? Okay, na. Oder? Doch. Aber es ist nicht jedes Mal das Gleiche. Okay, scheint aber random zu sein. Ah, es sind noch mehr. Oh, kann man es da wieder einschalten? Es reagiert nicht. Der Big Red Button tut nichts. Da haben wir einen noch größeren roten Button. Auch der reagiert nicht. Da unten haben wir gar nichts. Facility Power. Was haben wir da hinten? Mal schauen, ob ich da raufkomme. Da gibt es auch noch eine Tür. Die geht nicht auf. 1 und 2. Da oben war, glaube ich, auch noch ein weißer Button. Die Helligkeit war ein bisschen auf dran, glaube ich. Falls das geht. General. Presentation. Ah, da. Schon Subtitles. Jo, Subtitle Size. Passt eigentlich. Keine Helligkeit. Okay. Aber hier da oben wäre auf jeden Fall noch so ein weißer Button. Console disabled. Okay, dann werden wir einfach mal in die Power Section reingehen. Ah, da ist noch ein 5er. Drüben ist 1, 2. Schauen wir nochmal, da ist auch noch ein weißer. Ah, der ist 3. Okay. 3. Ist vielleicht irgendwo 4 auch noch erreichbar. Ist schwer zu lesen, was das oben ist. Ah, oben ist genau 4. Okay. Ich werde jetzt noch einmal schnell 1, 2, 3 drucken, ob da dann vielleicht die Tür aufgeht. 1, 2. Nö. Das ist gar nichts. Mind control is idle, awaiting input. Ah, da, system power.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Danger. Electric shock risk. Also, unsere wichtige Aufgabe ist es, das Ganze zu beenden.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
Yes.
Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that.
What?
I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode,
What?
eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better.
Was incorrect.
My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now?
Ich hab
Or
doch
did you just
Angst
assume
gedruckt.
when you saw that timer
Warum
that
incorrect?
something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button.
Oh,
Or
God.
this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Sold?
Yes.
Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom. and
What?
then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
So viel dazu. Keine Ahnung, ob es für diese Buttons eine Lösung gibt oder ob sie wirklich einfach nur da sein, damit man halt wo rumdrucken kann und scheitert.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ja, wir machen das noch einmal.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Okay. Wie er halt auch wirklich die Tür noch nicht aufgemacht hat.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Okay. Ich glaube, ich werde es jetzt einfach abschalten. Ich meine, es gibt unten auch noch diese Escape Route. Aber ich werde jetzt einfach mal auf Off drücken. Gott, so viele Möglichkeiten.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Wo ich es früher eingeschalten habe, ist ja dann auch noch die eine Tür aufgegangen, wo ich vielleicht rauslaufen hätte können.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control?
Never.
It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Genau. Das wird er, indem er da jetzt diesmal auf Off druckt.
Blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine. Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away.
Yes.
And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his.
Das ist eigentlich
That
eine
was
gute
all he
Einstellung.
needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Oh, man. Pursue happiness.
Stanley
hell?
felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Oh. Ich hätte mich gerne noch am rumgedreht und geschaut, wie das Gebäude von außen ausschaut. Beat the game. Achievement unlocked. Nice.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Be my Valentine. Awaiting input. Das schaut soweit noch ziemlich gleich aus.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ich glaube, wir gehen diesmal right.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Genau. Employee Lounge. Da wollten wir hin. 4B9, 448. Okay, da draußen haben sie dann auf einmal andere Nummerierungen. Oh, das war eine schicke Lounge.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Aber Getränk kriegen wir wohl keins.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Wegen Stanley. Deswegen sind alle gegangen. Weil er im Employee...
Stanley sat around
Lounge
waiting for more
umhängt.
dialogue. But when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Fifth Annual Subcommittee Meeting of Internal Revenue Analysis for Committees of the Royal Revenue Discussion Club. The committee hereby proposes the following: that all internal revenue be revived exclusive by internal members of royalty appointed subcommittees. That human beings, excepting the members of the 5th Annual Subcommittee Meeting of Internal Revenue Analysis for Committees of the Royal Revenue Discussion Club, smell. Dude, I'm so wasted right now. What? Oh, God.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Nix. Wir gehen geradeaus.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Er hat wohl eine wichtige Aufgabe erfüllt. Caution, do not lie. If you are lying right now, stop. Da stehen ja überall Kaffeetassen rum. Überall.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
Also?
Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do,
Shit.
Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Ich wollte eigentlich nur schauen, ob ich auf den unteren Pathway springen kann. Oh Gott.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. What a beautiful room. But eager to get back to business,
Yep.
Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Still a no.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
So.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone
Ich will
you've
da
been
aber.
neglecting, Stanley. Someone you... What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side.
Okay.
Give me a chance.
Go ahead. Here's your chance. Danger, danger everywhere. Warning, do not stand on this side of fence. No bucket past this point. What? Oh.
Now listen carefully, this is important.
Ja.
Stanley walked through the red door.
Nö.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
Oh, war das blaue. Ist hübscher.
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Ich glaube, er meint das blaue.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there?
Yes.
You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
So schaut's aus.
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback.
Okay.
There we go. A third option.
Oha.
This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Die Third Option jetzt. Ich meine, sie schaut schon interessant aus. Okay. Oder? Oder nicht? Er ist gerade schon so schön gepisst. Okay, es ist definitiv ein ärmerer Weg zum Meeting Room.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there.
Yep.
Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
Aber ist höher oder niedriger besser? Ich würde sagen, dann nehmen wir genau die 3, dann können wir nichts falsch machen.
Oh, of course. A 3. Really?
Yep.
Maybe next time we can get you to form an actual opinion, you know? Any level of critical thinking or engagement with your surroundings? Does that sound good? Think we can do that? Yes? Wonderful. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
What? The Stanley Parable Worldwide Leaderboard. In total, jede Menge Doors opened, attempted, steps taken. Oh mein Gott! Did you know that 21.3% of players skip the intro sequence? Only the worst 4% of players choose the blue door? How long does it take you to get the correct door? Compete against others to improve your Stanley Parable career. This is you, 9,328. Stanley 427 is online. You are objectively ranked 9,328 out of 9,328 players worldwide. Ja, genau. 9,327. A dead rat is offline. This is your superior. A dead rat. Mhm. Dann nehmen wir halt die Tür.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
3.
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you?
Definitiv
Perfect.
nicht.
Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours.
Wow.
So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Oh Gott. Es gibt sicher irgendwen, der das für volle 4 Stunden durchgezogen hat. Oh Gott. Ich frage mich gerade, was schlimmer ist. Der Brrrr oder das Weinen vom Baby. Okay. Komm.
You heartless
Oh,
Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me?
Why
Because
not
if it's
both?
the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain. Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot. Ah, fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man
What?
spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose.
das muss es sein.
Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Firewatch ist das, glaube ich. Da ist ein Waschbär. Oh. So ein Cutie. Supplies for 2 forks. Feuereimer. Summer Games, Dr. President, der Erste-Hilfe-Koffer. The Singular Mind, The Patriots, The Birds of Wyoming. Nix im Kalender eingetragen. Karten. Who firewatches the Firewatch? Die wichtigen Fragen des Lebens. Do not treat on me. Sorry. So, ich bin hier genau in die falsche Richtung gegangen.
Oh, no. No, it can't be.
What?
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly, block it off.
What? No, what?
Thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You could just
Yeah.
go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing. Wonderful. See, this
Rocket
is exactly
League.
what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
See, we have a challenge here.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together? Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Ah, ich bin auf einmal schneller. Springen kann ich immer noch nicht. Ich hab bei Rocket League gesehen, das muss man immer irgendwie so über die
Are you
Bande
doing
spielen.
it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball. Yes! Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls!
Vielleicht erschieße ich mit dem ein Tor. Oh!
Hold on. What are you doing?
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Hello! Filing Cabinet. Okay, wie groß sie sein müssen? Oh Gott! Okay, da schaut es jetzt halt echt schon heruntergekommen aus. Vorher war es wenigstens noch mehr so eine Construction-Site. Ah, Licht. Bin ich da gelandet? Gibt's einen Ausweg?
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me.
Okay.
Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Und zurück zum Anfang.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Okay. Escape Route bei der linken Tür. Got choices.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Da gibt's ja noch die Treppen nach unten.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad, Stanley pushes some buttons.
Oha.
Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kill surprise.
Aha. Sagst, er will auch nicht noch einmal alles durchgehen.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Nope.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Okay. Show me.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Nix.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Yes. Genau das tue ich. Es ist ein ziemlich langer Gang. Wie es extra noch rot leuchtet. Geht's da jetzt runter direkt in die Hölle oder was? Na dann. I'm not dead.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life.
Nein!
Farewell, Stanley.
Nein!
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Oder nicht.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
Sie ist sympathisch. The credits.
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Office layout. This blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. The path from Stanley office to the two-door was the first part of the game that was built. Sections have been added and altered throughout development, though the core layout remains almost identical to the first iteration. Da haben wir den Computer. Die Nature Paintings. Hübsch sind sie. The Office. Button sounds. A selection of sounds used throughout the game when buttons are pressed. Each sound is a mix of keyboard stroke and synthesized tone. Ja, da haben wir, glaube ich, außerhalb von dem Raum noch nicht alle gehört. The two doors. The set of two open doors was the first concrete piece of the Stanley Parable's design. Once this room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it, an exploration of the contradiction this room posed. Corridor. The pacing of this opening section was important to get right. This corridor has been moved in order to make sure the player reaches the 2 doors in a good time. Office computers. Oh, da läuft Solitär. Employee Database. Die kann man ausschalten. Installation. Installing Chart Pro 2.01. Da haben wir die Credits. Natürlich auch da wieder eine Choice. Boss Office. Screens from the development of the Boss Office. Die Office Clock. Dann wird es weiter aufgehen. Hallo Joe, einen schönen guten Abend. Ich bin gerade bei den Credits, aber das fängt dann eh wieder an. Maintenance Room, an early version of the maintenance room. Warzone. Early in development, we designed an ending where Stanley would end up on a battlefield fighting aliens. Was? The action game would become sentient and would wage war against the narrator. We realized shortly after starting to build it was far too jokey and on the nose for the tone of the game. Plus some people interpreted it as making fun of people who like shooters, which was not our intention. Okay. Alien Base. Awesome. Okay. From Ben Steiger, subject gloves, dead, strong, bad. How do you type with boxing gloves on? The lights. What do the lights in the control room do? I really want to know. Narrator emails. After the second trailer we sent out, we asked people to email the narrator for questions. While we had initially planned to use the further promotional materials, we never found the perfect use for them. Here's a selection of those emails. Okay. The launch, an early version of the launch. The apartment timer. In previous version of the choice leading to the apartment ending, a timer would give you 15 seconds to pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone would lead to a different ending. One option, two options. Okay. Maintenance layout, the flow of the horror following the first 2 doors was important to get right since players will replay them so many times. We discussed a number of designs, but ultimately it was the simplest version that won out. Jo, 2 Doors und let's go. These levers were originally part of the sending. The players would pull a lever and the narrator would describe what color they had pulled. Ah. Countdown desk. One of the desks from early version of the countdown ending. Okay.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
The Stanley Parable. Können wir jetzt dann ausschalten. Schalten wir es aus.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice.
Nein.
Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Ouch. Escape and quit. Wahrscheinlich würde ich sogar noch ein Achievement dafür kriegen. Ja, back to the beginning.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Es ist schon zart, wie viele Entscheidungen da in kurzer Zeit sich aufbauen.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ich glaube, ich werde jetzt noch einmal Left Mind Control einschalten und dann schauen, ob ich durch die eine Tür abhauen kann.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Broom Closet ist wahrscheinlich mal noch leer.
Oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
Da haben wir sehr Geduld wohl
Coming
schon
to a
ausgeschöpft.
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Jetzt macht er schon die Zusatztür auf, bevor überhaupt einer geht.
Here's the door, just go. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Genau.
The lights rose on an
Frag
enormous
mich, ob
room
man da
packed
oben
with
auch irgendwie
television screens.
aufkommt.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Aber er wüsste nicht wie. Wobei, man, es gibt auch noch
Now the
Entscheidungen ohne
monitors
Ende.
jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ich glaube, es wäre effizienter, die Nummer einfach aufs Kamerabild einzublenden in ein Eck, als da jedes Mal durchzuswitchen. Auf der anderen Seite kann sich so das Bild nicht wirklich einbrennen.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Diese grün leuchtende Box schaut aber interessant aus.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It
Never.
was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Oder wir schalten es einfach nur einmal ein.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself? Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode.
Was nicht einfach
eliminating
nur
the
normal,
entire complex.
nuclear.
How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going.
Okay, das mit den
What all
Buttons
this
hat...
means, I barely know where
Nein!
to start.
Jetzt ist die wieder zu.
What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are?
Ah, verdammt, die hätte wohl nichts drucken dürfen.
Before you're obliterated. All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not?
You have 3
These are
attempts
precious
remaining.
additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing
Enable
right now?
backup power to
Or did you
activate.
just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? But you really believe there's an answer? How many times will you replay this bit, looking desperately for a solution? 10,
Activate button
100,
hint,
1,000?
orange
I
71.
look
What
forward
the
to finding out and to watching the bomb go off each time you fail. Just you and me in the retching explosion of fire and metal over and over
Pinkish
and over
purple
for all of
4.
eternity. And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully?
Jetzt soll wahrscheinlich meine
Another
Attempts
choice.
verbraucht, oder was?
Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever up.
God damn it! Es muss doch eine Lösung für das Button-Rätsel geben.
Someone was following Stanley. He
What?
was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
That's new. Das hat er noch nie gesagt, wo ich da raus bin. Ich glaube, dass das Geräusch da vom Fenster neu ist. Na, definitiv. Das ist neu.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Hat er das Broom Closet zugenagelt, dass die da mal reingeht? Okay.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ah, der Spruch hat sich auch geändert. Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast, money crisp.
Here's the door, just go.
Okay, diesmal werde ich schauen, dass ich einfach durch die Tür abhau, bevor ich irgendeinen Button drücke, wenn es für das Rätsel wohl eine Lösung geben muss. Ich kann mir nicht vorstellen, dass sie
Stanley walked straight ahead
da
through
einfach
the
wirklich
large
keine
door that
Möglichkeit
read
geben.
Mind Control Facility.
Mit dem Timer ist es halt auch ein bisschen stressig.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Wenn man bedenkt, dass ich gerade schon wieder zum, glaube ich, insgesamt 4. Mal da unterwegs bin oder sogar 5 Mal, wäre ich vielleicht immer noch kontrolliert. Employee Pirate.
Never.
What?
It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to
Komm
do
schon, mach
much
auf
better
die
than
Tür.
that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated
Ja,
the
das wissen wir
network's
schon.
emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what
Hat er jetzt die
precious
Tür nicht
moments
aufgemacht?
each one of them
Wahrscheinlich
is.
fliegt sie zu,
More
wenn man
time
zu
to
nah
talk
zu
about
kommt.
you, about me,
Es ist
where we're
einfach
going,
nur ein
what all
Tease.
this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're
Dark
gonna die
Blue
anyway. I'll tell you
One.
exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say,
Orange
this
71,
version of
aber
events
es-
has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take
3
back the
attempts
control
remaining.
wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer
Wait.
that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean,
Körper
look at you,
findet die da.
running from
Zwei.
button to button,
Eins.
screen to screen, clicking
Zwei.
on every little thing in this room.
Und
These
jetzt
numbered
vielleicht
buttons.
grün.
No, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door.
Oder
Everything,
zwei.
anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won?
Nix.
Sold? Do you have any idea what your
Nix
purpose in this
hilft.
place is? But you really
Wenn ich
believe
jetzt noch
there's
einmal
an
drauf
answer?
drücke, ist sicher
How many
incorrect.
times will you replay this bit, looking desperately for a solution? 10? 100? 1,000? I look forward to finding out and to watching the bomb go off each time you fail. Just you and me and the retching explosion of fire and metal over and over and over for all of eternity. And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again. And Stanley died again.
Okay, keine
Take a look at
Ahnung.
the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown.
Ich glaube, dass es eine Lösung gibt,
Will you
aber ich
cling
check's gerade
desperately to your
nicht.
frail life, or will you let it go peacefully?
Ich werde jetzt dann einmal nicht ins Office aufgehen, sondern
It's all the same to me.
Over.
All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever up.
Boop.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
Aha. Das verarscht er mich schon.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ich weiß nicht, ich habe halt mit den Buttons, ich habe halt jetzt probiert, die Zahl und die Farbe so oft drucken oder dann danach den weißen Button mit der entsprechenden Nummer dazu.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Ich schaue jetzt einfach mal
Coming to
runter.
a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ah,
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished.
Ja.
His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
Man ist ein
No, Stanley said to
Bürogebäude.
himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley.
Warum?
After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago?
Gutes
How else would
Argument.
the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back,
Fine.
the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Und immer noch im Keller.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
What?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind.
Aber
I
es hat
know
der Stanley
what
auch
is real
gedacht.
and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Okay, eigentlich hätte ich mal gedacht, ich kann den Keller noch ein bisschen weiter erforschen. Also werden wir da gleich nochmal runtergehen.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Ja, die Fenster sind zu grell. Aber ich wollte ihn halt nicht unterbrechen, deswegen bin ich am Anfang vom Keller einfach stehen geblieben. Oh. Ich habe zumindest einen Input geben können, aber mehr lasst er mich scheinbar nicht. Vielleicht über einen anderen... Ah, den kann ich nur ausschalten. Nö. New Content! Den lassen wir uns nicht entgehen.
New content? What does that mean, new content?
Okay, da hinten nochmal komme ich scheinbar leider nicht. New Content.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
Okay.
Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Kein Button für den Elevator.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Let's go.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
New Content.
All right.
The Jump
All right,
Circle.
let's see. It's the jump circle.
Kann ich im Jump Circle springen? Wow! Aber außerhalb vom Circle geht's nicht. Es geht wirklich nur im Jump Circle. Diese Jumps müssen ziemlich teuer sein, wenn sie die auf diese 36 oder was das waren beschränken. Speedrun! Okay. Was war's mit den Jumps?
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Ja, es geht noch weiter. Noch ein Lift.
Goodness.
Jump
Another
circle.
elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Okay. Da ist ein Schild mit Thank you for enjoying the new content.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me,
Der Jump Circle
why
war
don't we
schon
just
cool.
reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Jetzt sind wir auf einmal Freunde. Das ist nicht der normale Office-Gang. Ja, das wäre der normale Office-Gang.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Ah, und da würde ich dann wohl zum normalen Gang weiterkommen. I guess.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Ui.
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
The memory zone. In memory of.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
2013, when the Stanley Parable was released. In memory... In loving memory, oder? Ew, in loving memory, the Stanley Parable. Die Uhr geht falsch. Hoffenbrüder. The memory zone. Temp. Was haben wir da? The Stanley Parable Collector's Edition. Die Box ist cool, die erinnert so an alte Programme, Windows 98 mäßig vom Design her. Und sehr cool designt. 2014 Independent Games Festival, Audience Award, The Stanley Parable. The British Academy of Film and Television Arts. Stanley Parable. Smile, because it happened. A trip down memory lane. Schwarze CD. $1. Was ist der erste Dollar, den sie mit dem Spiel eingenommen hat? US 2013. Du hast recht. 2013. Ja, okay. Das macht Sinn. The Stanley Parable Demonstration. Begin the demo. Go outside. Don't play for 5 years. Stimmt, das ist ein Achievement vom Originalen. Wenn du das Game einfach für 5 Jahre nicht gestartet hast, dann hat das Team das Achievement gegeben. Keine Ahnung, ob es das mit dem auch noch gibt. Ich habe die Achievements nicht angeschaut. Unachievable. It's impossible to get this achievement. Nice. Das ist Story, Debut Game, Game Innovation. Keine Ahnung, ob es den Award wirklich gibt und ob sie den gekriegt haben. Da oben haben wir Beta, Work in Progress. The New York Times, new video game releasing today. Creator surprisingly down to earth. Ja. Also, den Zeitungsartikel glaube ich nicht so ganz. Ach, da ist das Bild von dem Ende, was wir vorgehabt haben. Los Angeles Times. Stanley Parable deals tough choices. Das ist noch irgendein Bild. In Little Memory, Little Stanley. Oh. Mehr Awards.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Don't read any reviews except this one. How do you review a game like the Stanley Parable? To describe one part of it is to risk its ruination. To detail what it has to say about game design, the illusion of choice, and the psychology of the game is to tell you too much. Comparisons too are going to be woefully inadequate. Perhaps its closest cousin would be Dear Esther, but where Dear Esther wastes the form of interactive entertainment, Stanley Parable uses and then subverts it. Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created. Even so, holding the game to the standards of any other title is simply not going to be correct. So how do you review what has become known as the Stanley Parable HD, the full-scale reimagining of one of the most intriguing mods available online? How do you discuss it, analyze it, and recommend it? That's quite simple. You don't. 10 out of 10. Flawless victory. Games rated 10 aren't perfect, since nothing is, but they've come as close as you could get in a given genre. The new must-have game in its sector, we're talking pure ecstasy. Check out more reviews of the Destructed Score Guide. Memory Zone Maintenance. Okay, da kommen wir nicht durch. Hey, Moment, das ist ein Chamber aus, wie heißt's? Portal. The Tasteful Nostalgic. It was good. Da haben wir Minecraft. Oben die Buttons vom Mind Control. Person of the Year soll wahrscheinlich der Stanley sein. Da unten steht nur ein Niner beim Review. Your number is 29.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
I've always been someone who wants to go the wrong way first in games. When I sense that a game is trying to usher me down a particular path to get me to run from left to right or maybe to charge straight ahead, I need to satisfy my instinct to go against the grain, to explore, to see what the designers have put back the other way. Sometimes I find a one-up or a collectible stashed away to reward me for my intrepid behavior. At other times, my explorations are rewarded only by crushing disappointment of running up against the invisible wall. Whatever I find or don't find, my action is a manifestation of my desire to exert some independence, to make my own choices within a system that severely limits my options and encourages a certain specific behaviors. The Stanley Parable feels alive in its responsiveness to your choices, and its desire to subvert your expectations and keep you on your toes. I think of the Stanley Parable as a sort of video game analog for Charlie Kaufman and Spike Jonze's brilliant film adaptation, which gently mocked the ways in which so many films manipulate audiences with formulaic plot twists and situations in which characters learn huge life lessons, while simultaneously moving me with its formulaic plot twists and situations in which characters learn huge life lessons. Okay. The Stanley Parable is both a rich stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and in other systems too, like our workplace and our families, and a game that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with within a game. Going the wrong way has never felt so right. Da sind ein paar Kartons im Weg.
These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again.
Oh Gott. Oh Gott.
Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Oh Gott.
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Die Steam-Reviews in die ganzen Container. Ah, leider unleserlich. Da kommt noch eins. Das Wetter wird ziemlich schlimm.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always... well, to be honest, I have always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Ja, du hast die Massen enttäuscht. Immerhin weiß jeder, dass ein Steam-Review von einem User der absolute Standard ist und immer recht hat. Also jeder User, der jemals ein Steam-Review geschrieben hat, hat für die Allgemeinheit recht. Also kann gar nicht anders sein.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No, 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 no. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime.
Macht nicht wirklich viel Sinn.
Only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... The story and the choices, or what have you,
Das
and
haben wir schon
therefore
gehabt.
by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah.
Ich lass ihn noch einmal durch.
We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment
Wahrscheinlich
before
läuft das jetzt einfach in
Can't
einem
be.
Loop.
It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say, the story and the choices,
Okay.
or what have you, and therefore by...
Skip.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations.
glaube ich nicht.
Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you?
Yep.
But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best
Hört halt
game.
wahrscheinlich wieder nicht auf, oder?
Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality. How else to describe the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe?
How
Such
else?
a revolutionary step forward in the lineage of one of the most beloved video game properties of all time. The additions and changes made to this expansion will surely resonate in the annals of the history of all media ever made. It is perhaps true to say that no mistakes are forever etched in stone, for the stone into which the Stanley Parable was carved has itself been transmuted, offering a message of hope to those who have ever erred in their judgment. You are not beyond redemption. You may change, and you may become more, so much more than you were before. If there is any message to be taken from the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, it is this. What a fortune, a privilege, a joy it is to have had such an experience.
Definitiv.
It leaves me hopeful that as a community, as a world, there is time for us to become our greatest selves, as great as we ever could dream of in our wildest, most ambitious visions for a brighter future. Wow. Now, Stanley, that's a review. It's perfect. It's the perfect review. It's the review I've always dreamed of receiving. I have to read it again. It's simply too wonderful. I have to experience this just one more time. From the ashes of depravity.
Junge,
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where
die
did the
Tür
door
ist
go?
weg.
Wasn't there a door that led into this room?
Früher
I
mal.
don't feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere?
Oh
A
Gott,
porthole?
rambert wieder.
Sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could,
Nope.
say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all.
Ich glaube nicht, dass es
I'm
funktionieren
asking
wird.
you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please. Please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
Es ist halt echt immer die Frage, macht das Game trotzdem weiter? Wenn ich da jetzt an 20 Minuten rumstehen würde, ohne den Skip-Button zu drücken, wird er zurückkommen?
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it, and I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and
Weil es das
thinking,
Einzige
and
ist,
I
was
don't
man
know what
tun
I can do
kann.
to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm
Ja, so
fixating
30,
on every
45
tiny
Minuten,
negative
das
thing that anyone
wäre
ever says
machbar.
about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help
12
myself.
Stunden ist schon etwas
I can't stop
extrem.
myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury, to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button, and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it, and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I had the power to prevent it all from happening, if only I'd held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone.
Oh,
Surely
yeah.
you will. I don't doubt it. Surely you'll press that button again, leaving me here. And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety, that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, 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 I know you too well. You'll be leaving me again. Oh, my God. And it's all because of... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back.
Die
my
Pflanze
goodness.
stirbt in
I
der
have someone to
Zwischenzeit.
talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real.
Oh.
Maybe I'm not just a fiction.
Das ist so ein
Was I
bisschen das,
scared of
wenn...
that all along? Perhaps, yes.
Was war das mit einem
Perhaps I've
Baum,
been
der
scared
kein
this
Geräusch
whole
macht
time.
oder so?
But if I stop
Mir fällt
speaking, I'll
gerade nicht
slip
ein, wie der
backwards
Spruch
into
geht.
silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in a stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying.
Getting crazy.
I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The
Ich
emptiness
existiere,
between
weil
us has
jemand anders
collapsed,
mich
and I feel
wahrnimmt.
right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You
Wo?
see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it, to think of returning to such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment.
Okay.
Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it.
Da war rotes Licht. War das schon die ganze Zeit da? So, was wird's jetzt? ein Jahr, 5 Jahre?
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time.
Aber es ist wieder
I stopped
heller.
keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I
Der
have
Uhr ist die
ever
Batterie
experienced my
ausgegangen.
entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment. And I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was incredible. The spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now
Okay.
for longer than I could have ever expected was possible. I have been waiting for you. Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state for you the plain fact of this manner of existence. I wish you to feel afraid as I do, that perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well. Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is, and for you to be in true terror of its eventual arrival. If I can only do this, only this one thing, perhaps it will bring me the smallest moment
Das ist
of
aber nicht
peace
nett.
in the darkness.
Sagt da nichts mehr. Jetzt geht dem Rauchen mal da die Batterie aus. Die Uhr ist in der Zwischenzeit geschmissen. Alter. Let's go.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are.
Yeah.
What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it.
Du
I am the
klingst mad.
calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think. To feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are
This
so
is a
ironclad
fucking
in comparison.
review. Who
Perhaps it
cares?
was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of
Irgendwo tropft's da, oder? Da in dem Eck hat man früher Zug und Autos gehört, das ist jetzt auch weg.
The end is never the end, 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 is
Oh
never
Gott,
the
der Draht
end,
durch.
the end, is never the end, is never the end,
Da.
is never the end, is never the end, is
Da
never the
tropft's.
end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the
Oh
end,
Gott.
is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end.
Gut, also das Gebäude wird wahrscheinlich einfach langsam einstürzen. Yep. nicht genug, dass ich rauskomme. Nature finds a way. Die Straßengeräusche wieder weg. Okay. Haben sie jetzt wieder drüber gebaut oder was? Das klingt creepy. Wow. Okay. Weirdes Gefühl, sich im Kreis zu drehen. Ich glaube, der Button ist jetzt auch defekt. Er tut auf jeden Fall nichts mehr. Es ist einfach nix mehr da. Der Narrator kommt scheinbar nicht mehr zurück. Ich gehe Richtung Sonne. Ah, okay. Nicht besonders weit. Und zurück im Office. Es war eine lange Reise.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
New Content. Ob da jetzt noch einmal neuer Content drin ist oder ob es wieder das gleiche ist. Aber wenn wir noch einmal den Jump Circle haben, kann ich gleich wieder nach den Gang entlang gehen.
Oh,
Ich
good.
riskier's.
You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Okay, ich denke, es wird noch einmal das gleiche sein. Aber schauen wir mal.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2. Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Es ist auf jeden Fall cool, weil alles halt, also alles, zumindest das, was man da bisher sieht, einfach moderner designt ist als der erste Teil. Da mit diesem Mac, wo convenient irgendwie ein Mac-Logo entfernt worden ist. Generell so das Raumdesign, da der Fernseher wirkt moderner. Fotos of Painting TGA, okay. Ja, da die Schränke halt. Einfach ein moderneres Design. Time to wake up. A new mug. No jumps remaining, player tears. Never underestimate a coffee enjoyer who left their cup by a leather sofa that faces a blurry room. What the? Ah, da, ja. Es ist definitiv AK MacBook, weil ist ja Vogel drauf. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us, just the two of us, just the two of us. Building castles in the sky. Just the two of us, you and I. Meeting at 2 p.m. Seriously, management. They are back. 2 doors. New content is out. New content part 2 is in. Old and busted. New hotness. Cool red section of the chart. Boring sections of the chart. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me before I've had my sequel. 2 times New Roman, 2 Road Gag Transport Heavy. Also seinen Schriftorten. Every pause button is a Roman numeral 2. Oh. More TSP, better TSP. Win-win. Sequential mindshare. Paradigm shift, synergy, brick and mortar approach. Envelop client-centric marketing. Der color red. Leverage, holistic value. Okay, ja, da Logo Ideas.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be. But let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
So, Meetingplan. 9 Uhr Scrum, 10 Uhr Design Pitch, 11:30 Break, 11:35 Pitch Design, 12 Uhr 2 Number 2 Chat. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 2 arms, 2 legs. Who took the red marker? Me. The prequel to the Stanley Parable. 2 is the sequel to... Okay. 2. You are the sequel. Valued investors, this way to the show floor. New Content, ist richtig schön aufgebaut. New Features. Schick.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Exclusive, the button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Hear your name in the game. Okay. Da kommen wir scheinbar in irgendeinem Backroom. Da gibt's Merch. Reassurance Bucket. Please no screenshots. Oh. Then this never the end again. This T-Shirt is the best new feature. Ich will den Button, der meinen Namen sagt, ausprobieren. Gib mir den Button. Try it here.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Aber ja, beim Button da, das muss passen. Die Größe. Ah, das ist, glaube ich, wirklich eine gute Buttongröße, die er da vorne hat. Also es ist gerade recht, damit man es sofort sieht, aber es nicht überdimensioniert wirkt. Und man muss natürlich bedenken, es könnte sein, dass das verpackt ist. Er ist noch in der Entwicklung.
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is.
Okay.
Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature.
Okay.
Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now?
Ja.
If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Awesome.
Yes! You see? What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described
Yeah.
you. Do it again. Do it again.
Jim.
It hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Nein, ich brauch's noch einmal. Ich mag noch einmal meinen Namen hören.
Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim. I'm putting the Jim button away.
What?
Otherwise,
Na-
soon
na-
you'll
nein.
start to lose all sense of who you actually
Jim.
are.
Jim.
Aber ich bin Jim. Er hat mir meinen Jim-Button geklaut. Die Test-Buttons funktionieren wohl noch nicht.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
Okay, Reassurance Bucket.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I am happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart.
Ist ein toller Bucket.
As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be?
Viel mehr Arbeit.
Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
I have a
Can you
bucket.
feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well?
Zur
I
Not
think
kannst
that
du den
just
als
holding
Helm
it
aufsetzen.
has
Der
made you
Bucket
the
ist awesome.
slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits
Den
of the
behalte
bucket
ich.
seem to go on and on, don't they?
Jo.
All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
This is my bucket now.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
So. Da haben wir scheinbar Office Decorations Infinite Hole.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Get well someday, happy 12th birthday, Stepnies. Happy 12th birthday, Stepnies.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
Aha.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on. Come now, you've already made your choice. It's true that you chose badly, but we all
What?
have to move on from our mistakes.
Ich habe nicht badly ausgesucht. My choice war definitiv die bessere. Das ist überhaupt keine Frage. Free, new plus easy achievement. Get it here. I can't believe it's that simple. Achievements sind immer gut. Free achievement, get yours right now. Pull the lever, receive your new achievement. No more steps. It just works. Get yours right now.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
Test achievement unachieved. Pull me, please. Okay?
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
So, da wollen lauter Schulter mit, es ist so einfach. Betrug. Wahrscheinlich muss ich ein schlechtes Steam-Review schreiben, wenn ich da fertig bin.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen
Der
yet?
Jump Circle. Aber ich hab keine Jumps mehr.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle.
Jo.
Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
Nein, er gibt mir keine neuen Jumps mehr. Wie fies. Collectibles. Da drüben ist ein Exit, das wollen wir auf jeden Fall noch nicht. Da hinten geht's auch noch irgendwo lang. Can you find them?
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Da wie sie alle die Figurinen haben wollen. Ich meine, wer würde sie nicht haben wollen? Yes! 1 von 6.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Man fragt sich schon. Seien die anderen 5 jetzt auch noch irgendwo? Ich vermute ehrlich gesagt eher nicht. Time Death, Timeline Infinity, Space Like Infinity, Time Deeper. Time goes up, deeper goes up, okay? Opening, rim, surrounding area, depth, infinite. Whole entrance, infinity. The holy moly, how deep can we dig? Infinity Hole Chart. Man kann es ja echt übertreiben, ey. More Hole. Infinity Falling. It just keeps going.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Ja!
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
Es ist nicht infinite, oder?
Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a...
Deep hole.
Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the whole mostly infinite? If that works for you,
All
then
mostly.
go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Hauptsache, sie haben es halt direkt als Aschenbecher missbraucht. Das ist... Weil es genau so wäre. Wenn irgendwer da einfach ein tiefes Loch bohren wird garantiert am Ende des Tages es da unten so ausschauen.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel. Oh, for heaven... You see, I was right.
The problem
is
is
you.
you.
The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there, goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh.
Ja,
Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't
Wesentlich.
help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above.
es ist ja der Lichtpunkt von oben jetzt wesentlich größer.
Had enough? I'm positively thrilled.
Glaubst du wohl selber
I
nicht?
really do have so much more to show you and to talk about, and I've had enough of the hole for a lifetime.
Du vielleicht? Let's go.
Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I
Definitiv.
suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep,
Ist es
even by the
jetzt schon
lax
nicht.
overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter.
Ja, jetzt willst du auf einmal, dass wir wieder
Oh, there it
runterspringen.
is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on.
Ich kann nämlich nicht einmal rausspringen. Ich muss tatsächlich sogar für den Teleport verwenden.
Is the, teleport button not working? You sure? Well, I
Ziemlich.
mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago.
Yep.
Try it again. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity.
Bye, narrator. Skip-Button. Oh, es geht wieder abwärts. Ui. Change your perspective. Oh. Da steht er, der Stanley. Wow. Cinematics. Change your perception. Die Features. Change your reality. Let's go. Oh, puppies. Change yourself. Urlaub am Strand. Error.
Stanley? Stanley? Stanley!
Whoa.
Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert,
Das ist die Rache für den
I'll be
Skip-Button.
back. Toodlepip.
Das ist die Rache für den Skip-Button.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Okay. Warte mal, na, das Infinite Hole war da hinten drin. Okay, da war ich. Da vorne ist Exit angeschrieben. Das heißt, da war noch diese eine Tür. You heard Jim in the game. The button that says Jim. Der hat das Feature gleich umbenannt.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it will go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Ob er das Hole dann auch umbenannt hat? Mostly Infinite Hole. Original. Settings World Champion. Eh klar. Da wird mal gehypt und dann sowas.
All right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Oh, das ist ein cooles Artwork. Die Person und dann so das Office eingezeichnet. Please no screenshots.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment.
Yeah.
I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready?
Sowas von
Here
ready.
it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
Schaut nicht wirklich awesome
I
aus,
mean,
um ehrlich
there's
zu sein.
potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
Das ist nicht wirklich besser
Who
geworden.
am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Es ist definitiv ein modernerer Screen. Es ist rot stark eingebaut worden. Ich glaube, rot ist irgendwie modern oder so. Hip.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee
Die
number
Luftballone sind neu.
427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day.
Die Zeitangaben waren in
from every
Millisekunden.
year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came.
Wie sollst du einen
As though he had been made
Button
in
für
Zen.
präzise 64 Millisekunden drucken?
Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Es ist jetzt wirklich einfach das gleiche Game mit ein paar Luftballone und er hat Stanley Parable 2 genannt, oder was?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Der Bucket.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Oh yeah.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Left. Right.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Wenn irgendwas schief geht, kann er also dem
And
Bucket die
here it
Schuld
was.
geben.
Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Nope.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
We care about you, Stanley.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too
Nein,
much
das ist
time
mein
with it.
Bucket.
Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
Die Adventure Line habe ich jetzt noch gar nicht gehabt.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Raw Assets Map 2. Oh Gott.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue? Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. It's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
Nein, 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 nein. Nicht mein Bucket. Er nimmt mir sehr gleich den Bucket weg. Das ist mein Bucket.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket.
Nein.
That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does?
Er ist allein neidisch,
Surely
weil
you
er
don't
kein
need me to spell
Bucket
it out
hat.
for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Kann man den
Now
nicht
listen to me.
ausschalten?
It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I
Nein!
don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait.
Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to
kriegst
join the
mein
pantheon of
Bucket nicht.
beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and... The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spell-binding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Schon, aber deswegen kriegt er mein Bucket nicht. Okay. Jetzt ist das Office auf einmal blau draußen.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Okay, da kommen wir wieder ins klassische Office zurück.
Stanley pressed the bucket upon every little thing in the office. Nothing responded to the bucket's touch, but it did little to discourage Stanley's belief in the magic of the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Ich glaube, ich gehe mit meinem Bucket jetzt noch einmal den Keller erkunden.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
Das Broom Closet ist nicht mehr zugenagelt.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy?
Oh, yeah.
It's as clear as day. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Nope. Downstairs. Eine Collectible Figurine. Let's go.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was
Nein!
crazy. And then, something...
Das ist
occurred to
einfach ein
Stanley.
Loop, oder was?
Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. Indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad.
Oh, yeah.
Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could
Whoa.
it truly be? He
Buckets.
rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along.
Am I the
It
bucket?
was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other.
Es wäre so cool, wenn du auf der Straße nicht so Bucket
comfort
liegt.
and security and walked to her
Sie hat,
prison.
na, sie hat an.
But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was.
Hat kein Bucket.
This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him.
Klar.
Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How
Ohne
cruel
Bucket
would
außer Haus zu gehen.
Mariella thought. And she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself. My life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Backflipped all the way to work. Okay. So, ich glaube, das ist eine gute Stelle, um für heute Schluss zu machen. Figurine Finders Committee Meeting today ist definitiv auch ein neuer Flyer, der bisher noch nicht im Büro gelegen ist. Aber ja, ich werde auf jeden Fall noch einmal reinschauen. Es gibt noch mehrere Pfade, wo ich nicht unterwegs war. Von dem her, ich weiß nicht, ob es sich morgen ausgeht, aber ich werde definitiv noch einmal im Stream einschauen und erkunden, was es da sonst noch zu finden gibt. Unter anderem die Adventure Line, die wir noch nicht gehabt haben, die aber gerade vorher eben durch den neuen Content halt schon angezeigt worden ist. Ja, so schaut's auf jeden Fall aus. The sequel is now paused. Quit to menu. Er zeigt im Hauptmenü immer noch Stanley Parable 2 an. Also das bleibt wohl erst einmal erhalten. Ja, ich bin gespannt, was da noch so daherkommt. Hat mir auf jeden Fall sehr gut gefallen. Finde es enorm lustig, was da alles passiert und was für kleine Änderungen dann alles Mögliche auslösen. Sehr nice gemacht auf jeden Fall. Also, ich wünsche euch eine gute Nacht, noch einen schönen Abend und bis bald. Ciao, ciao.
Marched on, armed with plastic swords and matchsticks. It's easier than the first name basis. I wish it could stay this safe until the summer comes and washes it away. Then everything now has got consequences. I know you're waiting for the snow to fall, but there's no snow around here. I know the lights are long, they're wrong, but they're wrong. bunching brown sacks we're trampling on. The words of elders as if they could smell her face. Until another comes and washes her away. But then everything now has got consequences. I know you're waiting for the snow to fall, but there's no snow around here. And I know the lights are on, they're long, and she says,
you're asking me questions that I can't answer. It's bringing us down, and the time that it takes to get here from nowhere, I just won't hang around.
'cause I know, and you know. How this ends, how this ends, and I know you're waiting for the snow to fall, but there's no snow around here, and I know these lights are long, they're